Back in the morning, wake up 1320 WILS. There's a new tool out there in computing called the productivity score, offering insights that transform how work gets done. This is Microsoft's work. And, you always say those when you're at work, those keystrokes can be counted. Well, they can here. Should they be, though? Should companies be checking up on you through another, app in the system? Or is it an invasion of your privacy? Let's talk to author and expert on corporate America, Victoria Pelletier, who's with us and ready to discuss. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you joining us. Now, I've known for a long time, look, workers, you can, the websites you visit, literally every keystroke. If you're on company equipment, that's probably fair game. Normally, where those pitfalls may lie. What makes this different, or is it really any different?
Yeah, so this was intended by Microsoft to allow companies at a macro level, so for their organization holistically, or business units or teams within it, to look at how their employees were using the Microsoft suite of products. Ideally, to go back in and help drive adoption by identifying how collaborative, efficient, and productive they were being. The outcry has come because it turned out that managers had ability to access individual employee productivity data, which has subsequently changed. Microsoft has turned that feature off.
So they say, right? We're Americans. We love a conspiracy theory. We've turned it off. Don't worry about that. I mean, Microsoft also told people, you can shut off Edge if you want, our browser, until, Windows 10 came out, and then all of a sudden you couldn't ditch it. You could only, you could minimize it, but it's still always going in the background. And in fact, they tell you if you try to ditch it, it's going to upset your machine. Well, I mean, that's not what folks want to hear. Microsoft seems to be able to do quite a lot of things it wants to do. But you say that this is holistic and it's probably transparent and it's A-OK. Do you feel confident in that?
Well,
I'm just curious.
Well, I think Microsoft's made public statements over privacy and their commitment to that, and so disabling the ability for that unique user ID. So I believe in that. Again, I believe that there was good intent here, and there's a lot of things we've realized through this. So you look at the data, right, just around, for example, instead of emailing attachments to colleagues, we're now collaborating in the cloud and working on, documents real time online. That's saving almost 2 hours a week, right? So again, I think it was good. The one thing I will say is employees, when we sign our offer letters and that, mountain of paperwork that we need to, complete, we are actually giving permission to access our digital footprint on the devices that are provided to us. And again, I think, for good reasons, even in financial services, to prevent fraudulent transactions and things like that. That said, trust and transparency is critical for great working environments. And so for employees, yes, they, ethereally, they know that this is happening, but then to have it called out so boldly is where they say, does my management not trust me? And that's where it's creating issues.
And that is not a little issue when it comes to workplace culture. I mean, that is it especially this day and age right now. It's not a little deal. At some point we may get back to, a situation where, the hiring onus was on, all of the eggs were being held a year ago by those in the work pool out there. I don't know if that'll be the same coming out of pandemic, but you want to have a feeling of trust with your employer and the other way, at least as far as it goes. I guess you can always have that caveat as far as that goes, right? To a certain extent, not fully, but at least enough so you don't feel like you got Big Brother looking over your shoulder 24/7, 365. Every keystroke. You don't want that.
No, absolutely. And I think it's a balance between, having measurements to, allow leaders to look at performance and evaluate performance. So those are important, but it is a balance, right? I have this motto with my team where I say there are no schedules. There are just deliverables. Right. So at the end of the day, if you achieve your deliverables with quality, then I actually don't care when you get it done. If you want to take, a break and watch a cat video or play a game of solitaire, I could care less, provided we meet the deliverables and expectations for our colleagues and our clients.
It's an incredibly good point. And when I manage people for example, in television, in local television, and with a sports department covering major sports and with Detroit and other cities, I would say, look, we're producing a television show more than once per day. These are our hard deadlines, and they are not negotiable. When you've got your work done for those, don't feel like you have to be here for 8 hours like you're punching a clock, because you don't. Some days you're going to work a hell of a number of hours. Other days you can slide, and we're going to have flexible hours. Don't drive yourself crazy doing the clock punch thing, because we're not in that kind of a business. I think you see where I'm going with that.
Exactly, 100% agree. And so that's where there needs to be this leadership cultural shift. So really, again, looking at outcomes, being really clear on what success looks like, and then measuring it on that basis versus the 15-minute increment.
Victoria, tell us how we emerge here. You deal with business. I know you're an executive. You deal with business. You talk to people at the high end in workplace culture. How do we emerge from this? Do we emerge with a more, I'll use the phrase in its best way, a more woke leadership class in this country, and maybe a changing one that's more diverse than before? Or do we get more insular and bunker in because of spending a better part of a year in a pandemic?
I think there's going to be very much a quote-unquote new normal going forward. In terms of, again, a different type of a hybrid model between virtual versus physical workplace environment. And that is going to require very different leadership, right? Still trying to have innovation and collaboration in a remote situation is more challenging than if we're all sitting in a room. So you're going to need leaders who operate in a very different way. And that also means, you mentioned the word diverse, a very diverse set of leaders that come with different experience and bring that to the table to build that type of culture.
Yeah, I was about to say diversity, one way we look at it, and the other way, ideas and experience. And that's not identical, but it's another way to look at diversity. That'd be a great thing overall. Victoria Pelletier, senior exec speaker and corporate America expert, as we talk about the Microsoft program. Don't worry so much about this. Maybe keep it in the macro with the folks you work with and look at that overall big picture too. Victoria, thank you for coming on today. Stay safe.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.